Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tidings from Across the Narrow. KK, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm KK from Singapore, and my main has been Lannister for the last more than over a year. And my favorite tactics card in the game would definitely be the new counterplot.
Counterplot. All right, so we'll hear more about it later. Okay, next we have Weerawich or Jark from Thailand. Would you like to introduce yourself? Okay. Berserk tactics. Oh. Okay, that tells us a lot about your playstyle. Yeah. Okay. We have next Evandra or Van from Indonesia.
For official reasons, I have to call myself the Warden of the East. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm Evan from Indonesia. I've been playing Lannister competitively for the past maybe like 2 or 3 years. But now recently I've developed more trying to play Martell. And my favorite tactics right now would be Rising Temp.
Nice. All right. Okay. I think we have Azmi from Malaysia. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Az. I play in Malaysia, and my faction is Stark. I've always played Starks. I think I started 4 or 5 years ago. You know, it's like a girlfriend. Always love her. Not so good now, not so pretty, but still good, still great. Yeah, that's always my favorite.
Yeah. And my name is Zhan or Sojourne. So I mean Martells, and my favorite tactic card is Sand Diplomacy. Okay, so today we'll be reviewing S4 as a whole. So we'll be reviewing all the cards with the stated against the S4 stated intention, which is actually tuning down those previously too strong options that drown out everything else in the faction. So the second goal of Season 4, as we understand it, is that we're having a lot of tactic cards changes. So a lot of our discussions today will be on it. So this is also keeping in mind that Simon has stated that this update is meant more for NCUs, combat units, and tactic cards. Season change half a year later. So do note that we'll be going through these changes in the order of the changelog PDF that you can find on the Simon website. So you as an audience member can refer to it if needed. All right, and let's jump right into it. So the very first thing that we are going into is the change in deployment. So previously, after the roll-off, the player who chose deployment, they didn't really get to choose who deploys first. They only choose the sites. But hey, now if you choose a deployment zone, you also get to choose who deploys first. And this is also in conjunction with the release of new battlefield layouts, where instead of people picking their own terrain or just randomly choosing it, we have like terrain packs. Hey, you want to fight in the wetlands, then you'll pick from like bogs, forests, and copses. So what do you guys think of this new deployment changes? Is it relevant?
Not necessarily the unit you bring, but more like it's good that because now that instead of usually when you lose the die roll, you just accept whatever it is that you're taken, right? So now that you've given at least the chance to at least the opponent that deploy first, so it's not too bad. And I really like the terrain packs simply because sometimes a lot of Civ games can be devolved to just happy 3 and corpse pile. That's it. Especially if you're playing against Lannisters, you just happy 3, opponent goes corpse pile, happy 3, corpse pile. That's it. So this makes it more interesting.
Yeah, I think the change in deployment is kind of in line with the general approach, the spirit of S4, where they're trying to make it more interactive for both players. So like, hey, even though you lose the dice roll, like you said, at least you still have something to decide. All right. So next we are moving on to the very new game mode. So I for one love the game modes as a Martell player. So we also have to play to the mission, and we have a very unique new mission that's called Banners and Butchery. So the very first thing that you can see is that the deployment zone, it's extremely aggressive. It's all the way right up to the middle of the table. So the whole idea of this is that, hey, you basically win points by attacking objectives you control. It's kind of like you go over there, you press the button. But the very big unique thing of this mission is that there is no VP through kill. So all your points have to come from basically killing the banners, or your commander units just go kill some other things. But the standard victory through killing is not applicable here. So what do you guys think of this? Is this
I think this two ways to play this. One, you play objective gaming and attack only when you have to, really strategically compared to the other game modes. The other way, it's the typical table your opponent style. Because over here, the deployment zone, it's like you've mentioned, the deployment is so aggressive. You can really get into the opponent's face and just start fighting without care for the objectives. But I've not had an experience put in too much thought into this, but I am interested to see how this plays out. And I mean, as a Lannister player, our units are quite balanced, so I do think that it is possible for me to go both ways. Yeah,
it's good to hear. Jark, do you have any thoughts about this?
Yeah. And I think the new deployment is very good in this game mode also, because since you cannot choose the first player, right? And if your opponent have the like defensive formation and a lot of or like very strong archer, and you have to deploy first, you will be like really at disadvantage, because they will just deploy archer to shoot you.
Yeah. One thing to note is that the setup specifically mentioned that you can't put anything impossible. So, you can't put palisades in here. So it's like really encourages you to get out right to the opponent and get stuff done. Okay. We'll be moving on to our very first faction. Sorry, not yet. But we're going into the next. Okay, so this is basically the 3-list Commander Highlander format, where the idea is that yes, there are 3 lists, but the catch is that all the commanders of each list has to be different. And once you use one list, you can't use it for the next 2 already. And if you ever have to use play a 4th game, then you just recycle it. So, we have already been playing this mode across Asia. So I'd just like to get the guys here to share their experiences with this mode and how it compares to the usual 2-list format.
It's an interesting take. I think I've shared this opinion also with Mickey from Stats. I think it's an interesting take. It's just that I still feel that the weakness of this format is it can leave to some lists chicken. Basically, if you have 3 commander lists and then you're fighting against the first opponent, you want to use your weakest list in the hopes that your opponent will also use their weakest list. But at the same time, if you understand that your opponent is the most powerful person in the tournament, then you want to use your strongest list. But then it makes your game 2 and game 3 slightly weaker. So it has more interesting decision making in like the first round and second round. But in the third round, you're just like, oh well, I guess I'm stuck with this list now, whatever it is that I picked.
I think this.
I like this. I like this the 3 format list because they actually changes the meta a little bit. because when you play all over the world, if you play all the same part, you kind of stale out the meta because everyone knows these are the two top commanders. Everybody will just play this with these units. So having three means the meta changes. So some of the, I think it favors the older factions which has more commanders and has more units. So whereas the newer factions have less commanders and less units. So I think it's more interesting. More modes of playing is always better for me because it keeps the game more interesting. And going to tournaments, when you have different kind of compacts and different style of play, it's great. It's interesting. Otherwise, I'm just going to play the same two lists and practice the same two lists for the whole year. It's just really, really boring.
Yeah, I like to echo the point. It's that I started the game in 2022, and we started in Singapore. We started the 3-list format last year, and the variety has made my list building and my overall experience in tournaments pretty interesting. I've been experimenting with different commanders throughout 2023, and I'm looking forward to trying out new stuff in tournaments in 2024.
The 3-list format, because well, we know for a long time, early Martells, we were heavy crutch hard by Harmon Aller, and Lannisters were also crutch hard by Kevin Lannister. So this kind of format also allows you to explore more options and to actually bring them to a competitive setting. So if you haven't tried this out yet, well, please take a read. Do think of trying it out for your own tournament. Sorry, Jark, you were saying? No, it's okay. All right. So there. Videos here, but you can read it up on your own. So, all right. So we'll go right next into our very first faction that we'll be tackling. Okay. Yeah. So that's the kind of considerations that the 3-list format force you to take. Yeah. Okay. So moving on, we'll go on to our first faction, which will be talking about the Starks. And well, we'll be taking a look at Great John Umber and Mage Mormon. And just nice, these two commanders perfectly showcase the new Overrun and the new Battle Scars
like the
skills. So for Overrun, it retains everything it previously did, but you also have the option now of doing a march instead of forcing yourself to charge. And for Battle Scars, so previously, in order to turn it on in a sense, now you actually get benefit from it right off the bat already. You can actually choose one of like the vicious or reroll attack dice or highest attack value without being attacked. So you feel a bit better when you bring the unit, and even if the opponent doesn't attack you, you can still do something, get value out of Battle Scars. So Azmi, as a resident Stark specialist, do these changes help Great John? I mean, Great John's really quite popular as I understand it for Starks. And well, does the new Battle Scar actually encourage you to bring Mage Mormon, or you think it doesn't really matter?
Well, in my opinion, for Great John Umber, it's a win, and for Mage, it's also a win. I love both, to be honest. Not sure Great John actually needs more buff. I think there's other commanders could do with it. But I like the reason why I like the March or the Overrun is because usually with how the game is played, you charge in, you do your damage, you whack whatever, you're gonna get whacked back. That's just how the game works. It promotes the trading mechanism and the interaction. While the march actually allows you to march out of line of sight units, that's huge. Because before, when you can move, the distance is whatever you move, like 5 inches is where the possibility where you may go after your fight. But now the possibility is like 10 or even 12 inches away. That changes a lot of the game. It makes you have to watch out for more areas and more gaps and more angles. So that adds more more questions during the game. It adds more difficulty and skill to the game. So I think it's great. Not sure it should have been with John, but fine. What it is. I'm happy to see that in John and all the other commanders who have run. So I think that's fantastic. And as for Mage, oh my god, the old battle scar was a disaster in my opinion. It's just awful. It just cuts out some units. Just never going to play it because they don't need the first 2 buff or something. So this one is great. It's it gives you a toolbox. The game, toolbox unit is generally, in my opinion, is less good than a unit that's concentrated, that's specializing in one particular thing. But actually, it makes your list more well-rounded. So a better player do better with toolbox units, whereas newer player can focus more on specialist units. So she opens a new, in my opinion, new styling to start, a new kind of list to start. So I'm quite excited to try it and see how it goes.
We'll be seeing more of this new overrun and the new battle scars in other factions. So, we'll get back to it later. So, next, we shall move on into the units themselves for the Starks. And first up on the list, we have the House Karstark Loyalists.
Yeah, for me, the Karstarks has always been a bit of sad, that's a bit of sad units. I'll just add them to the list, and then later on, they were the first thing that come out of the list because they were, to me, they were just not so focused, and not really, it's not actually good value for money, good value for points either. So now they're taking the loyalists down one direction, which is like attacking your morale with a vicious and a panic. So will it work? Will it not? I'm not sure. There's a few commanders they'll work with, like Roos, for example. So there's a few factions you may work better with. All those factions will be like Leadership 7. So this kind of unit would be great. So if you see your opponent playing, most Leadership 7, they will suddenly be gold. But if your opponent's playing all Leadership 5, well, probably not the list to bring them out in. So, but it is options. Again, options great in the game because you can try all different kind of things. So that's my view on the loyalist. And the thing is, at 5 points, they're not even a lot of money to invest on. And you could play kind of list where you have a lot of units because they're so cheap, and you have a spammy cheap units that attacks morale. So that would be quite interesting. The other one, the Spearmen, well, they're 5 for 5 points. They very defensive, very good. There's a good buff for them. So 6 wasn't worth it. 5 possibly. But the thing is, Starks isn't really that good defensively. We don't really have stuff to raise. We don't really have to heal or to increase our save. So it makes the units okay. Because the thing is, things will get broken when you stack the same effect on top of each other. So there's not really that opportunity in Start. But for 5.8, you can't really go wrong, in my opinion. So it's worth a try.
Yep. So good to hear your opinions on the loyalists and the spearmen. So what I mainly hear is that they just offer, they're actually very good, solid alternatives for the start list building. Okay, so just we shall flash the spearmen very quickly now. There's actually no changes to the spearmen itself. It's just they just lost 1 point in cost. They only cost 5 points now.
Sorry, I think I covered the spearmen before, but one more thing is that 5 point units are generally units that just go and sit objective. So slightly defensive unit for 5 points instead of swordsman, great, fine. So it's worth a try.
All right, we'll move on to the House Mormon Bruisers right now. So we just give it a second or two for it to show up on the screen. I think for the next unit, perhaps we could hear Jark, would you like to share your opinions on the new Mormon Bruisers? So just give it a second or two to show up on screen right now. Yeah, so they have lost Counter-Strike, but they've gained Disrupt. Is this? Do you think this is a good direction for this unit? Sorry, Jark. Sorry, we can't hear you. It's okay, KK. KK, would you like to take this? The Mormon Bruisers?
Okay. I don't know. My experience with Starks is mostly playing against Glenn in Singapore, but from what I can see on their stats, I think Disrupt would be better for them, just purely based on what I can see from their stats. Simply because they seem like an aggressive unit, and having Disrupt for this kind of units with 5 armor save, having Disrupt kind of yeah.
Sorry, can I just quickly talk about the
Okay.
cruises?
Yeah, sure.
Is that
Very
right?
quickly.
Actually, my favorite command in Stark is Roderick Castle, and it has a card that basically makes it -1 to hit, and every miss is take a hit back. So that would work really nice with Moment Bruises, because now you're -2 to hit, and every miss you take a hit. Short pieces, but it's a new possibility, something to try.
Okay, that's wow. That's good to hear that you can double stack these -1s. All right, so
That sounds really annoying.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go on to our next unit now, which is the She-Bears. Okay. All right, so the She-Bears, so they've experienced a bump in terms of their attack profile. So they went up to 765. So previously they were 754. So
Momon
I
Booster
think
is
stats-wise, I mean, the bump is always nice. I'm not sure how much it will affect, because Starks do have a lot of ways to increase to attack against full attack dice. So you can use Caitlyn, a few couple of cards. So
yeah, okay. So back to the Mormon
That's very
She-Bears.
good. This
So
unit because
quite honestly, it makes better
because
sense
he is
now,
so
the
weak with the
synergy
5.
for the Mormon She-Bears, because they want to lose ranks. But do you think the 4+ to hit is still an issue?
yeah, personally for me, that
Yeah,
4+
but at
is
least
still an
the
issue. For 6
okay.
unit.
So, but with all the changes to the Mormon She-Bears, do you think this is something that you might explore on the list right now?
I think they're playable now before the changes anyway, so the changes only makes them better. So yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
it's good to hear. So, well, we're moving on to our next unit, which is the House Umber Berserkers. So they did receive quite a number of changes, as we will be able to see in a couple of seconds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I actually have 3 of these boys. Actually, no, sorry, I have 4 of these boys, because they used to be really, really good. And now the 3+ really helps. I tried playing them with 4+. It was quite unreliable, and they had no armor, so they do get in the meta that you get hit once or twice, then they just get wiped out. So you never really get to take advantage of their stats. This is much better. Will you stop getting them get KO'd in two hits? Yes, I think it will. It's really nice if you can have something like the Greyjoy thing, where you can prevent from dying. Something like that would really help this unit, because then you get to use them at least once. This one, great. I actually liked it. I think it is going to be better. Well, I'm excited to try, but the judge is still out there for me. I'm not sure yet.
Quite honestly, personally, I see that the changes to the House Umber Berserkers, it's kind of like a very good summary of the changes to House Starks in this season 4 list, because they really boosted their survivability. Just imagine if this thing loses 2 ranks, you're at 3+ armor saves, which is actually pretty good on a unit that also moves very fast and was gonna hit you at 9 dice. Yeah, so it is. All right. Okay, so hand in hand with the House Umber Berserkers, we actually also saw changes to the House Umber Great Axes. Okay, so moving on to the Great Axes. boost in their attack profile. They went up to 765 from 654. And well, they lost unyielding, but they do get some token play. So this kind of emphasizes their single on the list. Change. Or I mean, their role was to kill heavy stuff, and they could do it pretty okay previously already. What do you think of the new one? It's more attacking, like tokens, and getting vicious. Right. Well, speaking of final in a start list, which would be the start. Okay. So let's minus the design notes. Calf, which was just too strong as a solid unit. So in a sense, they're trying to make the Outriders a little bit different as more of a support unit, not just for itself, but also for other surrounding units with the new tactical reposition. What do you think about this? Anyone? Yeah. Okay, good to hear. So we're seeing that, well, the changes to all the start units are kind of in line with the stated goal of Season 4, which is really giving you more options, giving you more viable options. And now we'll go on to the NCUs that saw slight changes. Okay, we kind of saw slight buffs, I think, to Roderick Cassell. Okay, so Roderick, well, we're rolling dice. So do you think that this will help Roderick being more of an option in start with this? Okay.
into your battle plan is to me it's a bit of a downer. Whereas the older version, in my opinion, was better.
Oh, that's sad to hear. Well, we will see whether you have the same opinion of the next NCU, which we'll take a look at, which is the new Howland Reed. Okay, so the new Howland Reed, he went from 5 points to 4 points. And honestly, mechanically, he didn't change much. The only thing is that he only affects the influence unit once only, because now you actually you just remove the card. Yeah. So, well, what do you think of this? Do you think the loss of 1 point, the buff of it being 4 points, is this something that you want to bring him more in your list?
It was Howland Reed kind of made it a couple lists, and then kind of didn't come in, come out. He was on borderline for me whether he was playable before. The cost wasn't the problem for me, because sometimes the cost is beneficial because like in some of the missions, the quarter ones, where you want a higher cost NCU to put on the table and the kind of thing. So giving a hindering to prevent people getting reroll from charges and all the charge bonuses, yes, that's really gold. But to be honest, for me, I always play with the terrain to make sure. So I think it's something you can play around, with the terrain. So what he does is makes it easier for new players to play that way. So some people will find it more useful, for others it's not so much. And then the thing is, the -1 is only once, so then you have to take it off. Most of the time, it probably won't make a difference because you don't really get charged attack that many times in a row. But I think the older one's better, but it is cheaper. So yeah, just the same. Whether he will break the domination of Arya and Sansa and all this, I don't think so, to be honest.
Okay, so wrapping up Starks right now, we'll just take a quick 30 seconds. What?
But are these guys as good as, say, Rangers, Trackers Rangers? And are they as good as Tully? Yeah, not really. So you'll probably still be playing a lot of Tullys and a lot of Trackers, because these two units are super good. So did they need to be brought down, those two units? Possibly, to be honest. I might get hit, I might get a lot of hate from Stark players. But maybe those two units are a bit of an outlier. If those are brought a little bit back, maybe those units become more, the current unit become even more competitive. So yeah, that's my view. So but they are the things that Stark needs. I'm quite excited to try them.
Okay, all right. And now we'll move on to the Lannisters, where we'll be hearing a bit more from KK here and Van. So right off the bat, it's the two changes. We've already went through Overrun. So Gregor gets Overrun now too with March. So the big man just runs up right to your face. And we have a very, very big change to predictable maneuvers, where... Yes. Well, previously you could basically do it anytime, but now it's very specifically first enemy turn in a round only. So, would the Lannisters like to talk about, is this specifically targeting the Caven Expo abuse?
I'll go with Overrun first. It does make sense. So for Overrun, I think that the marching is good. Like what Azmi has mentioned, it helps with the positioning for the next charge. And because also Gregor has assault orders, so Overrun does help with the positioning for the next. Just if time wisely. That's what I think.
Okay. All right.
Evandra, anything to add on to this? Or any other thoughts?
I think he dropped off for a moment. So we'll wait for him to come back later. Okay, so moving on, we shall go take a look at, well, moving on, we will talk about Kevin as well as a commander, because we have a very big change to
people have been putting Kevin into the GCS, and that's been working out well. And previously, people have been putting Kevin into crossbows. That's been working out well. With this new change, all Kevin players will need to find potentially a new infantry unit to put him in. That's what
honor guard.
Potentially, yeah, honor guard. I did think about. I don't. Okay, we'll go into that later. But I still think GCS could be viable. Could be. But it really depends on the kind of list that you're bringing along. GCS, honor guard, I would say even Warrior Sons could be possible. Yeah. If you really want to explore that. Yeah. But overall opinion on Kevin, why do you do this to Kevin? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm done.
This is what you call a very chibai move from Simon.
Fuck this, I'm done.
But would you not agree that the Kevin thing was a bit too overrepresented?
No,
How? Okay, no.
not even the most
okay,
meta faction in season, like the previous season. It's Greyjoy.
Okay, no, Evandra, let me just say this. You have Courtney in Baratheons with both Tyrion's trademark ability as an NCU and Might of the Throne, and you decide to do this to Kevin Lannister. This shit doesn't make sense.
To be fair,
I will never be done. I will say this. I will never be done. Fuck this.
Okay.
They did in the wrong commander also. The one who need nerf is not Kevin. It's the Mountain.
No. No, do not touch my boy. Do not touch my boy.
We are not going there with the Mountain. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Let me pause this for now. We'll talk more about Lannisters as a whole later on. So now we will move on to our next focus, which, well, will be the two new, well, not really new units, but the tweak units of the Lannisters. Okay.
So my complaint with the Kingsguard is that
we'll focus on the new Kingsguard first. Yeah.
Why is Rainbow Guard better than Kingsguard?
Oh, you really think the Rainbow Guard is better?
Heal too. They have heal too.
I think, I'm not sure when did it happen, but didn't Kingsguard used to have Iron Resolve?
Yeah, they used to have Iron Resolve, and then they changed it into just having Morale 4. They used to be Morale 5 with Iron Resolve.
Yeah.
Morale 4.
So the thing is this. Previously, we've been arguing that Rainbow Guard has been shittier compared to the Kingsguard because of the point difference. Why is the scale going the other way now? Why? Resilience is just one. But the thing is this: Kingsguard with 8 wounds, getting shot to death is a real thing. And then you just throw on a resilience on it. That's not.
Maybe it could have been.
Yeah.
No, just
shit. So the resilience you think will work?
Put Joffrey in. It's not that it wouldn't work. It's not enough. There is no sustain for Kingsguard. And overall in Lannisters, there is sustain, but it comes from panic test. Kingsguard doesn't have vicious. We have sustainability compared to Rainbow Guard. There's no such thing. So resilience is beneficial, but a little bit compared to what healing 2 wounds will do.
Okay. I guess later when we get to Rainbow Guard, we can ditch more.
Curse and swear again, yes.
Yeah, curse and swear again. Okay, so moving on, we'll move on to our next unit now, which is Lannisport City Watch.
Nobody really cares about the City Watch because back then it was really, really good. And because you put Mountain in it, so that it makes it like a stupid unit. But now it's just mid now. It's
Yeah,
and
it's really
GCS by
mid.
extension is also a mid unit now.
Okay, in what situations
6
would you
points.
bring the City Watch now? Would you even bring the City Watch now?
At
If
6
there
points,
is
no.
if there is a tournament that forces me to bring a City Watch, yes, I will bring the City Watch. Yeah,
Hell,
but
think of
but
it this way: for 5 points, you get Halberdier. 7 dice, 4+, set for charge. Sundering.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it's just so much better than
no,
thing.
this has Sundering, but there is no set for charge. It's Crit Blow and Sundering. Yes, it's beneficial, but just know for the extra 1 point next.
Okay.
City
Well-
Watch is next.
Yeah, no.
Okay, it seems like it's a fail for the new City Watch. I guess they wanted to hit the GCS.
Okay,
City Watch also
let
got-
me just add something to the adaptive style. I think for adaptive style, it used to just belong to the City Watch, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
They basically what they did at SO3, they have buffed adaptive style to the max, and right now they just change it back to what it was. Essentially, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, we can move on. Thanks, John.
I can sense the frustration in you. Okay, all right.
Yep.
We move on to the next batch of thing. Which
Oh, this is very chibai.
yeah, which we will
Yes.
hear more of you. We'll talk about the NCU changes. Okay,
Yes,
What-
Pycelle.
Pycelle.
Yes, Evandra, go ahead. I'll jump in later on.
So, Pycelle used to be the most balanced NCU in the whole. I think it's probably the entire game.
Yeah.
For 4 points, you get one token. Yeah, 4 points, you get a token. Very simple.
Yeah,
Nothing-
but would you not say
nothing-
that he became too much of an auto take in Lannister list, like no brain kind of?
Because last time they buffed it to give him weakened or vulnerable. That was something that we did not ask as a player. It's like, oh, okay, thanks for the buff, I guess. And now you go, oh, okay. We'll give you 3 tokens, and you can only choose weakened. I'm like, and they were like, what the fuck? Then we'll just take Shade then. Like, who the fuck plays
Exactly.
Pycelle?
Okay, the only positive between Pycelle and Shay is this. Pycelle is upon activation, you can give the weaken. Shay requires claiming of a zone. That is the only positive. Other than that, Shay is better.
Yeah,
So-
okay, it's better.
$1 million question then. Would you still bring Pycelle in your list?
No.
If I run out of neutral points.
Yes.
But then again, I bring like High Sparrow, probably.
Okay.
No, I think I love Pycelle more also.
Even the new Pycelle.
Too slow.
No, if I'm playing a defensive list, I'll bring Pycelle and Shay. Weaken tokens for everyone.
Spoken like a
Oh.
true Martell player.
Do you know how Drogo?
Yeah, what about Khal Drogo? I can weaken him. I can't weaken Blood Riders, but I can weaken him. If anything else, that still works. Yeah.
Okay. We shall move on to our next buff. I do not know. We'll talk about Kyvan, the Master of Whisperers. So they kind of like simplified him. So now he just spits out vulnerable tokens.
It's
What
a
do you think?
rework. It's a rework, I think.
Yeah.
Back then, what makes Kyburn interesting because he sort of like he sort of punishes the opponent from taking certain zones, which was interesting because it was the only way that Lannister can do one auto wound, outside of anything. You take money, you heal, then you deal one wound. So that was what makes Kyburn interesting. But now, it just sort of like make him a pseudo. What's his name?
Yeah, there's a
Cornicanus?
Baratheon
Yeah.
NCU. Yeah,
Cornicanus,
there's a
yeah.
Baratheon
True.
Exactly. Yeah, I like the previous Kyburn. It was fun. It was a bit niche compared to Varys was general usage. Kyburn requires some. It was a bit harder to use the Kyburn tokens, yes. But the auto wounds did help me kill an entire unit because before claiming a zone, the unit had one wound left. I killed that unit before it healed. That was fun. Now
It's boring.
there is a positive when it comes to this. It becomes, I would say, we Lannister as a faction become a bit more token spam. If we were to bring Kyburn into our list, because depending on the gameplay itself, if the enemy decides to claim a zone and we happen to have whispered threats, thanks break, we give out 4 tokens. 3 vulnerable, 1 panic. That is fun.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll move on to our last NCU, which is slightly tweaked Torment.
I have many comments on this. Yes.
Okay, well, intrigue and subterfuge instead of filthy, was it?
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. It doesn't
yeah.
fit the theme as his mother. Cersei has hear me roar and subjugation. Tormund should have filthy and intrigue. Bribery is shit.
No, it's just weird that Torment has bribery because it doesn't make sense flavor wise. But
Exactly. Yeah.
but yeah, it's,
Now it doesn't fit the theme. Now it doesn't fit the Tormund doesn't fit the theme of the panic. If you were to bring panic focused NCUs, Tormund doesn't fit it. And one problem that I have that comes to mind is that both intrigue and bribery requires the same zone,
Oh yeah.
but intrigue requires you to claim crowns and not bags. So if you were to have bribery on it, you can't really block it. Or if you want to put bribery on it, you have crowns, you can't really prevent your enemy from removing it. So overall, I don't see it as a buff or nerf. Having intrigue is good, but I would prefer filthy and intrigue rather than bribery.
All right.
That's the
So to wrap up,
statement.
like, hey, do you guys think that is this a new era for Lannisters? Did all these changes for your NCUs will it change what you normally bring?
you mean an era of mediocrity for Lannister players?
We're used to it. Next.
No, just
But no, okay. In all seriousness, the changes to Kingsguard doesn't make me want to bring Kingsguard. The changes to Lannister City Watch just makes me put him back in my storage for a bit longer. The NCU changes, I think it would require a bit of getting used to. As long as same goes for Kevin, but all in all, I don't think it changes a lot of the gameplay. We just need to adapt and bring different commanders. We have a lot of commanders to bring to this.
What about Tyrion? Of these changes, I was expecting a change to Tyrion because I think Martell is a guy that does the same, but he's 2 points. Tyrion's just 1 point. It's like this is too much.
Tyrion is very strong.
Moving on. Next.
Continue.
Moving on. Okay, so in the interest of time, we got to run this along.
Night's Watch. Yes, Night's Watch.
Let's
Let's
go
go
to
next.
our elephant in the room right now, or the wall in the room. Night's Watch. First thing we'll go through, all the tactic cards.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this for 3 years already.
Okay, so we see some changes. Okay, so first thing we will see is that even the buff abilities have kind of changed. So like previously, Sword in the Darkness used to be a straight up +1 dice. Now it's more like, hey, now it's just +1 rank. So it's not just changing the timing, but we also change all that. So I open the floodgates to you guys. What do you all think of all this roughly?
Do you know how I feel when I get hit with the 16 dice in one activation? It's like, yeah.
Okay.
I have thrown 16 dice in one activation. So yes, I have done it to someone. Yes, and I think that's a bit unfair. Yes.
Okay, so at least all these kind of changes. Personally, I also think it's better because at least previously when the Night Sword player get the cards, right, they just okay, we'll just play automatically when I think. Now they actually have to think when to play it. So I find that's more interesting as a player, for both players, honestly.
it makes the game a little bit more higher skill cap because you don't just have like one trigger. You go, I'm just going to use it. You have to think on whether you want to use it as the first mode or the second mode. So I think that's interesting. You want to like save it for later. You give them the perma buff now in the hopes that they will survive the panic test, or you give them later when they're actually performing the action.
Yeah.
So it's more interesting. Yeah.
Okay. So I won't go into like each individual card because that probably take much time. But what I like to say, like, so in the design document, they said that the whole intent for Night's Watch for them was that they realized that Night's Watch at higher levels it's okay, but it's that they are too dominant for most players in the middle. So do you think these changes to the fundamental mechanic of Night's Watch help achieve that goal?
Yeah.
The biggest
I'll
changes
say
I think
this.
it's in the. I think it's
Evandra, go ahead
Watcher, right?
first.
The one that gives you free attack. Was it Watcher? It's Watcher, right?
No, free attack is and now his watch is ended.
Oh, yeah, now it's also ended. So now I don't think and that has changed. So it's no longer free attack.
Okay,
So that one makes it more powerful. As in, it makes it more balanced, I guess, for the players.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at the next 3 cards. The Light That Brings the Dawn, take the black, and now his watch is ended. So
Yeah, so back then, like the most sort of like most disgusting combo is Watcher on the wall, and now his watch is ended. So one unit gets a march, and then they get a free action, essentially. So in conjunction to all these ability that's stacked together on one unit, makes suddenly that one John Ranger Hunter unit can then perform like 16 dice attack, like what Weera has mentioned.
And also, like, because the Night Watch is very hard to fail panic. But now, if they fail, they lose a lot, you know.
yeah.
You see, all the attachment is losing when they fail the panic. So now it's very easy to manage.
What about, would you actually save cards to play it for the on-play effect, or would you actually use it more for buffing? Or is this going to be dependent on like matchup and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I would say it really depends. I'm a new Night's Watch player. To me, it really depends. Previously, it's like it's like trying to build a Megatron or something. Basically, you just throw cards on, just keep throwing.
Yeah.
You have one stack of cards. It's like, yeah, that's what it was. But now, I can see both the triggers and the activation effect coming into play. You can use, like, for example, the Light That Brings the Dawn can actually helps to protect your cards because it +1s the morale test, and you have a happy 3 +2 to morale test. Night's Watch base is 5, it becomes a 3 for panic, let's say. It really helps to, you really need to juggle how your resources, a lot more resource management needed compared to the previous version of Night's Watch when it's just building a Megatron.
Yeah, I personally feel that that's a more interesting way to play, because the building maker is just like I'll just keep adding cards, then I'll just throw this unit at you. Yeah, but it's now more interaction for both sides. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. We'll go into the next 3 cards. So these are actually the commander tactic cards. Night Gathers, For the Watch, and Tempered by Duty. So all these 3, since they were also all kind of like vows that were stuck to unit, they also all receive changes to it also. So, well, any thoughts from any of you for any one of these?
Other than the failing panic test, I don't think anything else has changed.
Okay.
Jon Snow's For the Watch people will use it for the charging effect rather than the rerolling.
Nice.
Because Jon Snow will be on Ranger Hunters. That's a movement speed 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we won't go too much into this 3. We'll move on into the NCU, Korean Halfhand. So Korean Halfhand, he just got the better scars. So the question is this good enough for you to actually bring him as an attachment instead of NCU?
I think the NCU is still better, to be honest.
Yes, NCU is still better.
Okay.
Even after the nerf that we're gonna see in the next page, right?
Yeah, we can move it. Yes.
Yeah.
NCU is still better even after the nerf.
Yeah, we'll talk about NCUs later. But okay, so we'll move on into the units now, which will be the stupid war machines.
So this used to be a meme, right? Because they have morale of 2 because they're war machines. They still have people on them, You still have people on them, You can't. They're not like suddenly this immortal being who's like, oh, we're not afraid of anything. You're just a bunch of guys in a freaking like catapult. You're still afraid of something, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess if fundamentally it won't change much in the way in the way you use either of them. So like for the Feudal Scorpion kill, yes, you're just more vulnerable to all the random zaps and things like that. But I don't
no. The thing is this, like the having this change, it might be okay, very situational. But what I'm thinking is this: if enemy were to use a panic test on the war machines, I consider that as a win, because I will never be attaching cards on the war machines.
True. Okay. That's a very good point. Let's take a look at the Builder Stone Thrower, which they didn't just get the 5+, but they also got, I don't know, a side grade and upgrade. They gained Vicious, but they previously had the thing that even if you miss, the opponents still need to take a panic test, but now they just gain a straight up Vicious.
That's a downgrade. Yes.
Downgrade.
Yeah.
But I guess honestly, all these kind of changes won't stop people from memeing on their war machines. I don't know. No,
But no, that's a downgrade.
So it's still a niche thing, I guess. Like, yeah,
Somebody just want to play it.
yeah, okay.
It's
I
still
guess-
fun to play. It's still fun to throw stones at people.
It's like run at me, something like that.
I guess it's
Boom, boom, boom.
with I guess because for a new player, when you meet things like this, you'll be like, what the hell? How do I deal with this? But I think I agree with the design intention where they say like, okay, we want to make the morale. It's 5+. It's actually still very like tough, but they still want to make it like possible to deal with it as a new player. It's a kind of like signpost. So I think that's a good move. Okay, we won't go much into the war machines because the war machines are stupid war machines. Okay,
Fuck you, cold hands. Fuck
This
you.
one is
Cohens. Okay, so who wants to take the lead for this Cohens? We know Cohen has always been a contentious unit.
Well-deserved change.
well deserves.
So he
That's
went
all.
from basically a unit that's 4 points that is essentially in every list. Then it becomes a 5 point unit that is in every list. And now it's become still going to be a unit that's in every list.
Really.
Just because it's 5 points and it can revive once, and then it goes to your flank, and then it can still flank charge you with 3+ armor and a 3+ morale. So
Yeah,
I
it's
actually
still
really
good.
Yeah,
It's still very good.
Yeah, but it's no longer an auto tick, I guess.
Ooh, still thinking it's going to be in every list. The thing is, it has the free retreat. I just don't get it. Why does it have free retreat?
yes.
Most solo units are like that, I guess.
No.
Only this one.
the solo
No.
solo rider.
Only this one.
Yeah.
Only this one.
Doesn't
No.
the
I
Master
think
get it as well?
the Dragonstone Noble has that as well. I think.
Yeah, and the Watch Marshal.
Oh,
Yeah,
they have solo.
Gregor
solo rider.
doesn't have that. Gregor doesn't
Yeah,
have
he's
that.
too heavy lah.
Yeah, like, yeah lah.
Still,
oh my
Okay,
dog
he's still a
cannot
solo
do that.
rider.
What
Okay.
about my dog? Oh, my dog cannot do this shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so the consensus on Cohens is yes, he's been nerfed a little bit, but he's still very, very strong and borderline on auto tick. Oh well,
Yeah.
It's not borderline. I think it's an auto tick.
Also,
still
the
an
cast,
auto tick.
I think
Okay.
the cast doesn't help him as much anymore. Otherwise, you used to be able to build Megatron and Cold Hand and just wipes all this stuff in the back. So I
I've
guess
tried
that is-
Megatron Cohen, that was fun.
And the,
Okay.
yeah,
We'll be moving on to the next unit, I guess, which is the Watch Marshal. So, well, the idea was that they wanted to down-tune Cohens and try to up-tune the Watch Marshal so that you might want to bring the Watch Marshal instead of Cohens. Question, did they succeed? Is there something that
The
you
question, no. The question is why not both?
Okay.
exactly what I was thinking.
The question is not whether down tuning or up tuning either one. It's why not both? Because the Watch Marshal gives +1 attack dice. It's like a free Corin on 4 points.
yes.
So you
And right now it's a buff. Right now it's still a buff because it -1 wound from failing panic test.
Yes.
okay. Jark, what do you think of this?
I think he is very good. And I think maybe they want to put like him instead of Cohen so you can choose, right? But
Yep.
I got the same option. Maybe they just take both because like +1 attack dice and -1 wound from panic test, very good. Also, you also have tactical position for your infantry unit that very hard to go inside something or like sometimes you have to reposition to attack something. He's still really good.
Okay.
Why
Oh,
not take both?
all right. I'll be looking forward to some double Cohens and Cohens and Watch Marshal list of Night's Watch from now on. Okay, moving on. We shall take a look at their NCUs. We'll see whether the changes to the NCUs have dethroned the Amon, Corin, and well, the typical picks of Night Watch. So the first one is Crester.
I mean, it only really matters this ability to free folk, right? But we'll get to that later. But I think for Night Watch, that means the Craster cannot use to heal. Wait, no.
Oh no! Sorry.
This is a different one. Never mind.
This is the Night's Watch.
That's a Night. Yeah, I forgot that they have two different abilities.
Yeah.
Corin. Yeah. No, I think it's good. At least that they can still do something. They can still like move so that they don't get flanked or they don't get like rear charge.
Wait,
still-
sorry.
it's
We're
still
still on Crester, actually. So Crester is, I think it's about ignoring the rough and hindering. Yeah. So what do you think about it? Is it Is this something that would actually make you bring Cresta in your next watch list?
No.
You see Amon? I think I will bring Amon and also another guy that can reroll the weak and valuable things. So it's like
Yeah,
auto is
the
good to NCU.
was
Okay.
it Donald or
I need to
Dennis
look
Lannister?
anywhere else.
Okay, so Cresta, we think that okay, not good enough. Even they buff a little bit, not good enough. Okay, we're going to the next, which is the big guy in the room, Corin Halfhand. So
I would still bring him.
you still bring in. So previously it was like a full, like they stasis you. Now at least they still can run around a little bit. So you still bring
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Still auto take. All right.
Not auto, but I would still consider.
Okay.
Top pick. Yeah. Top pick.
Top pick. Seems like
Wow, they also become vulnerable, is it now?
Yeah.
yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
It's like a bit of vulnerable stuff. So okay, seems like maybe the season 4 changes have the season 4 design intention not good enough for Night's Watch. Let's take a look at the next unit, which is Yoren, which I heard has always been a meme pick. He received a small buff. Well, he can deploy the conscript can deploy at the start of the round, not when he claims it and then you remove 40. Do you think this is good enough for you to bring Yoren?
No.
Still no. Sadly.
Pass.
Okay. What do you think they have to change to Yoren to actually make this viable?
I think you have to change author to NCU, not Yorin.
Okay.
No, I have no idea what they can do to Yoren to make it a pick. But honestly, 6 points for Night's Watch list when all of our infantry are 7 points. This is too expensive.
Yes, true.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll take a look at the last duo, which is Samuel Tully and Gilly. So Samuel Tully used to be 5 points. Now he's 4 points, but Gilly has gone up by 1 point. So I guess they give you more options in your list building. Do you think Sam might actually be an option because your cards you want to hold more in hand now instead of automatically playing it every time? Do you think Sam has value in this new Night's Watch?
I would say it's interesting because of now turn 1 essentially you can play out most of your hand because your units will activate, and then next turn you start with like fresh new hand, so you get to cycle through your deck faster. So it is an option for sure.
Okay, sounds good. Then, well, what about Gilly, which has basically become a pass machine? That's how I would put her as.
Bringing Gilly will give your opponent pass tokens, unless you are bringing something like a 4-3 list, but your NCU are total of 9 points when a combat unit are 31 points.
Yeah, not good.
Very difficult to make it worth.
If you think about token, no, she is not good enough.
Okay, so Gilly is simply not good enough, even with the new Gilly's insight. You may draw one tactic.
No.
Yeah, I don't think.
Like you have 1 pass token, but your opponent have 2 pass token.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh well. I guess this one we have to wait and see whether anybody finds a way to abuse her. Okay. Moving on. So we have gone through the whole Night's Watch already. So do you think as a whole, as the season 4 changes has achieved its stated design intention for Night Watch, like giving you more options and making it more fun for more players?
Overall,
It's gonna be fun to figure it out.
I think the biggest question is, like you said earlier, is if to use it at the start of the activation or when to use it for the more relevant ability. So you have to make a choice of whether you want to buff them early or you want to hold on to like when they actually use the trigger for the second part. And I think that kind of decision will sort of shift out between games to games, but it also will somewhat test out different player skills and to see if they can adapt to like the situations better.
Yeah, and quite honestly, all that sounds like a plus to me because these are interesting decisions as a player. Yeah, and well, it's a brave new world for Night's Watch. And okay, moving on to our next faction, which will be the Free Folk, which I guess our Warden of the East will take a lead in this. So Free Folk, first up, we have the 2 game-wide changes in terms of overrun for Mac the Mighty, and also in predictable maneuvers for Mance Raider. So do you think the changes to these 2 cards, does it change how you might build them, or how do you think it affects?
Not quite, because I think, and all this opinion has already been stated earlier, that the changes to overrun is just good. Gets people out of being charge range, get them to position for the next charge, blah blah blah. So it's all just overall very good, good stuff.
Predictable maneuvers for Mance, does it change anything?
That is no longer there, which we'll get to in a bit. But it's still a very painful nerf to Mance, because Mance used to be, his playstyle is very like control-y, and now this control element is a little bit nerfed. So I'm not sure yet.
Okay, so this one probably means that you have to test more. Okay, so we'll talk about the Mance Raider now. So you're mentioning, yes, they removed King is Dead. So I guess at some point they added this because Mance was just getting a bit too out of control, and then Mance just totally fell off everyone's pick radar. So do you think removing this King is Dead, do you think that this will result in Mance being explored more as an
option? Man's suite of cards used to be very controlly, like I said, and it was a combination of predictable maneuvers and wildling diplomacy. Predictable maneuver chooses unit activation, wildling diplomacy controls NCU activation, but then they slapped King is Dead to sort of stop Mance from being too crazy, and they also removed the morale bubble from Mance. Now they remove the King is Dead, which is whatever, and then they change predictable maneuvers. So again, they don't want to bring back Mance to its old glory days, which I understand why, because Mance used to be very, very powerful. But we'll have to see whether this is going to be still, because I'm not sure yet what unit Mance will be good in. Because now the King is Dead is no longer there, so I think we'll have to see which unit can contain Mance. Now you don't mind if Mance is dead. Because back then, like, when you have the King is Dead, you just want Mance to stay the hell away from everyone.
Yeah, which kind of like conflicts with counter strategy a little bit also.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and then we'll move on to the big thing in the room for Free Folk also. It's a 2-point tax for Varamir 6 skins.
Understand. This is I think is a necessary change. Because Varamir is just too powerful as a commander, and a lot of directions people are trying to change in like how Varamir can be changed. They start by changing some of the other stuff, but I think the 2 points is fair. I think.
Okay.
It's a fair change.
All right. So let's move on to our next attachment change, which is the skin changes. So previously, the skin changes were 2 points.
2 points.
And now it's 1. So I'm just going to say that, you're just going to see the skin changes way more often now. Is that something you would want to bring in your list?
So interestingly, Skin Changer also gives Stalwart. So makes your Raider from Morale 7 to Morale 5. So makes them a bit more decent frontline unit. Not a very good frontline unit, but still Morale 5 for Free Folk is pretty decent. With 3, that becomes a Morale 4. And also then you can bring in the Bear, which gives you 1 swing that is immune to defense. So 1 swing at 3+, you don't roll defense dice, which also triggers a panic test, which could be also interesting. And also two other animals, which is quite relevant. The other one is to sort of reroll charge distance every time. Yeah. It's all good packages. I would not mind bringing Skin Changer now, but still, it's a very important decision whether you want to bring this or Raid Leader, because Raid Leader is just a more straight up offensive option because it adds dice, where Skin Changer is a little bit more of the utility pick.
Yeah, but would I be right to saying that previously, before this change, like you wouldn't even pick Skin Changer at all?
No, never. 2 points. Okay. For 2 points, I'd rather bring Borok.
Okay. Oh, that's good to hear. At least seems like this change to Skin Changer is exactly what they want in Season 4. More viable options for you. Okay, we'll take a look at the next card, which is the Great Walrus, which I guess get better scars. Do you think, does this make you want to bring the Great Walrus more?
So Great Walrus is, I think it's 1 point, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yep. So it is, again, so now Free Folk has a lot of options to make in their 1 point attachment slots. So now you have Skin Changer, Raid Leader, Champion of Bones, which is intimidating presence, Great Walrus, which is really good. So now a free folk player needs to make a lot of different decisions of how they want to make their list. They can make a very tanky free folk list by having lots of Skin Changers to makes their Raider morale 5, alongside with a steer commander to makes their center very strong. Or they can make it sort of like a very almost offensive style with Great Walrus and Raid Leader. So it gives a lot more varieties to list building options, which I think quite enjoy.
Okay, that's good to hear. Okay, our next on the list is actually Tormund Giant's Bane with the new overrun, but I don't think we'll go much in it because, new overrun is just good stuff for Tormund also. So, let's just quickly go past Tormund and go into Borok's Boar, which is basically a straight up buff of Borok, which I'm not really sure is needed because if I'm not wrong, Borok is already one of the most commonly picked.
So you know what's
We'll move on to our next one, which is the Frozen Shore units. So the first up would be the Frozen Shore Hunters. So they kind of they buffed the attack profile a little bit, which is kind of cool. But the really cool one is the changes to the harpoon, where you can basically get an auto disorderly charge on an opposing units. What do you think of this?
So Frozen Shore Hunters used to be one of the most unplayed unit in Freefall.
Yep.
Simply because it's a short range guy. And again, sort of like I feel like most other infantry will just require you a 2+2 charge.
Yeah.
Which is probably like, I still feel like 2+ charge is the most scariest charge in the game. But at that point, like, you might as well try or you don't.
Yeah, but
and anyway, the debuff is not that bad.
They'll automatically suffer a disorderly, but you don't think that's enough?
Because their attack profile, their defense profile is already really bad, right? At 5+ armor and 7+ morale. I mean, yes, again, this is one of those things that we could try it out. But I feel like for free folk at this point cost, you still can bring something else that's much better, like an extra trapper would be better at 4 points.
Fair. Okay, so I guess verdict for the Frozen Shore Hunters
can still be played. Can try, but between trappers and spearwife, which best unit in the game.
All right, we'll move on to our next unit, which is the Frozen Shore Bear Riders, who got a bit braver. Yeah.
So again, the unfortunate thing about Frozen Shore Bear Riders is because of the man's nerf. Crasser nerf, because Crasser now can only heal infantry. So it used to be like Frozen Shore can also be healed by by Crasser, but now they're just sitting there by themselves, which is still okay. Like they're still the tankiest cavalry in the game at 16 HP, 4+.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you get all the keywords if you really smack into something.
Exactly. That is not fair. Okay, I'm done.
Go home, Lannister player. You're drunk.
Okay. So, would you bring the Frozen Shore Bear Riders now with the nerf? Or
I mean, there was a list that I was trying it out, like even before the nerf, even before the buff, which has Frozen Shore Bear Riders. The thing is, it was relying on Crasters to survive.
So
because you can keep healing them, you can do emergency heal of 2 when using defeat. But now you have to rely on a traditional back, which is not too bad still.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to our next unit. Okay.
With 7/7 for attack profile. Really, really good. Spearwife with Torment, that's just nasty. Really, really nasty.
So
then you
previously, would you have brought her, and did it change anything now?
Spearwife used to be also played in several lists. I think Spearwife with Harma was a pick because then you get essentially speed 6 with what's that ability? You can pivot before you maneuver. But now it's just natural speed on the dice and then vulnerable. This has become one of our best units right now.
Seems like Spearwise probably overtuned. We shall see.
My waifu has returned.
Okay. All right. Moving on to our we're talking about the NCUs, Craster especially. So let's take a look at Craster now. So yeah, you can't target monsters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think this like it killed all mag lists and all your bear stuff? Like
Yay!
Yeah.
I see everyone who's not a free folk player is happy. I, as the free folk player, is not happy. But I think I see the reason why. I just don't like it.
Okay, do you think that those kind of lists can still work with Craster like this, or are they just totally like unplayable?
Well, the previous max list relies on Faramir, which Crasher can't heal any of them. Yep. So that list will just not have Crasher.
Okay.
So that affects essentially that will only affect one list, which just removes Crasher from that list entirely.
Oh well. Okay. All right. We won't talk too much about Craster because we have been quite a bit into the bears already. So we'll take a look at the next NCU, which is a buff to Jon Snow. Just a tiny buff. A buff to I think he gets -1 wound from failing panic now. So is this a good enough buff?
I mean, even before the buff, Jon Snow was being used in some lists. Like in Ten's list, it becomes a morale 6 Iron Resolve Jon. So it becomes morale 4 with -2 to panic damage. So it makes 10 warriors suddenly a very powerful frontline unit.
Okay, so why do you think they decided Jon Snow needed a buff?
Because I think the trifecta of the free folk NCU has always been Craster, Lady Val, and possibly Mance.
Ah, okay.
Or maybe Steer. Now Steer is also really good. So they want to put Jon Snow up into that level of competitiveness compared to the other three. So now Craster has been taken down a notch. Lady Val has been nerfed from the previous patch, and now Jon Snow is being up. So now Jon Snow is a serious contender for that.
Okay. Moving on to our next NCU. Speaking of options, it's Lady Dala, who basically received a discount. Previously 5, now 4.
So this is interesting. I think again back then 5 points was just entirely unplayable in free folks, a 5-point NCU. But now as of 4 points, it might be interesting. I have not played with Lady Dala at all, so my opinion is not very strong on this one. But I think this could be tested out.
Nice. Okay. Lastly, we shall take a look at Mance Raider, the NCU. Well, he received a buff to also work on activation of the unit.
Nice. So you always confirm to draw 1 card.
Yeah,
that's good.
So I guess this is a welcome change for him, and probably we'll see more play of him because of this.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now we'll move on to the neutrals. So neutrals, we'll take a look at the Bloody Mama skirmishes first. So Jark, would you like to take give a comment on this? Hey, they walk a bit faster now, and they attack a bit better.
I think they will be more viable for a lot of house. I think it's very good in House Stark.
House Stark, okay.
With it's like become -2 to hit, and then you also got counter strike with movement of 6 and attack with 7, 6, 5, quite good. Also with Rickard Stark that have the extra to the disrupt. So it becomes like you can use this kind of unit to stand in front of something for some times. So it's quite okay for me, I think.
Okay, so I guess all these changes make him a bit more playable, and especially if you start stacking on the -1s, it gets even more annoying. Okay, nothing much to say about the skirmishes. So,
Sorry, I just want to say one thing about the bloody murmurs, honestly, because I really want them to work and start. I've got 3 boxes of them I bought by accident. So
Accident.
I really want them. I was so excited. But the thing is, the speed isn't what they need a buff on. The problem with them is they have no armor, so any kind of hits you get, you're gonna lose guys. Fine, that's just it. But then the problem for me is the morale. It's 7, so you almost always not half, but 45% of the time you're gonna feel the morale and lose even more guys. And that's the problem. When I was playing them, testing them around, you just get shots by a range unit, and nobody gets there in the end, so everybody dies. So I think what they really needed help with is the morale.
Okay, so it seems like it was the morale that needed help, but they didn't get help in that sense. Okay, so we'll move on to our next unit, which is everyone's favorite Golden Company swordsman. Yes, we won't exactly go into all the nerfs now. Instead we'll talk about, yes, they got an obvious nerf, but do you think they will still see users anywhere?
Yes.
Good night.
Go to what?
Good night, sweet prince.
Yeah, go to what? Never heard of them.
They're still quite okay for
They received the same ability as they did in the series, which is to get by dragon.
Okay, so you don't think that they don't even have a niche use right now?
No, adaptive style, like I was saying for Lannister, it used to just be for City Watch. When they gave it to GCS, at least it used to have Sundering and Iron Resolve. Now they've lost both Sundering and Iron Resolve, technically, but it's now in adaptive style for some reason, but that's only used once per round.
Yeah, I think it's
basically it's no longer a fixed ability, and they will not be able to withstand two charges or two attacks even.
Sounds like the GCS will be kind of going back into their boxes. Yeah, I think it's the once per round thing that kind of killed them. If they still retain it for the entire round, then I guess still is a very niche kind of thing. Still going to be an option, but it being once around, I think most factions will be able to find better alternatives in their own faction.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Okay. Moving on. We shall go on to the new Lightning Cell Swords. Not really new. They kind of buffed it. They get crit blow instead of precision, and they kind of became vampires. Yeah. They regain HP. This unit restores 1 wound for each pillage token it has. So outside of your normal Greyjoys, do you think Cell Swords, the Lycine Cell Swords, will see play in any of the other factions?
Yes, I've tried them with Gregor, and it used to be it was fun. It was fun, but now with the healing and the +1 attack dice, crit blow is always good for Gregor, because with price of failure, all of my dice roll hits, I just need to roll 6s.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have Sundering that comes with Gregor as well. So I am considering trying it again, Lycine Cell Swords with Gregor Commander. It's gonna be fun.
All right. Sounds like we're going to see the Cell Swords more often. Okay, next one, we shall move on to the suite of Stormcrows. The first one, it's buff to the Stormcrow Archers. So they get loyalty through coin, so they might attack a bit more now. So do you think this was a boost to Joachim? Like, what do you think of this change to the Archers? Anyone?
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, I've been playing this unit for quite a bit under Joachim, because I think they work at the start, because with the 5-point added NCU, you can protect them against leadership tests, and also you have Sansa, which means you can always bring back the Brothers in Arms, which consistently keep them good. So here, the loyalty through coin basically give you a defense die, +1 to defense dice, and morale test roll. So, well, the defense dice is not so effective, because generally when you roll defense dice, something gone wrong, because something's probably presumably touch you. So your game is already a bit dicey. So the morale test, yes, I guess for other factions it will be really good, but for me, when you have Eddard, you don't really need it. So it's not really big improvement, but it's a really good unit. For me, for start, you don't really need it, but maybe for other factions it's useful.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to the next Stormcrow units, which will be the Dervishes. Dervishes just got one better morale. Do you think this will cause the Dervishes to actually see play anyway? Because I don't see anybody actually bringing Dervishes.
They might now, because I think morale 6 to morale 5 can push them into that direction. So I think it might make them more interesting.
So what?
Again, it needs testing to see which one is good. Because right now I'm not sure yet which unit will Dervish be good in.
Okay.
I played him with Rob Stark before. He is very good with Rob Stark, but Rob Stark card is just like, that's why it's so bad. He's really synergized well with Rob Stark.
I've seen someone in the club bring them with Greyjoy. Because Greyjoy can make them appear aside, they become really good. I thought that was quite a good idea.
Ooh, with Martell, that could be interesting as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then you put Jokin in it. The other guy, the partner. So
Widower. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Then
you can just hold one flag with Jokin and Widower.
Okay.
Yeah, and you get a brother in arms, the additional attack dice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like Dervishes might appear more as supporting Jokin commander in other factions. Okay, something to test out more. We'll be happy to see this. Yeah, I think it's just a good buff. Moving on, we shall talk about the Stormcrow mercenaries who also just receive a straight up +1 morale. Nothing much to say here, I guess, because people still bring mercenaries anyway for the diff. Yeah, so this pretty good line holder now. Pretty okay holding the line. So I don't think there's much things to say here.
Yeah.
They still have the -1 to NCU cost, right? Because I didn't figure out very long time.
No change to that.
As well.
So I think we shall. Yeah, I don't think we'll see more mercenaries, but I don't think we'll see less mercenaries also. So, but okay. Moving on, we shall move on to the neutral NCUs. Our everyone's favorite Varys the Spider. No, the question is yes, he got nerfed. Would you still take him even with 3 tokens?
Kind of.
Yeah.
He's still really good.
He's still really good. Compared to Paisel,
he's still really good. It's just that you probably won't use it like the first turn. You probably will take it like turn 2 onwards. Because like the sword taking 3 hits is really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay, but do you think that 3 orders is just right, or if let's say they nerf it to 2, you would never bring him with you, right?
There is a point where it just becomes a bit too much.
Yeah, so I guess.
And that is 2 tokens, yes. 2 tokens is a little
I think 3 token is
just nice.
Yeah, just nice.
4, I think it's a bit too much even, because sometimes I just feel like I've got so much token left. Realistically, the game, realistically, the game is only fight. You only fight about the game over 2 or 3 turns when all the fighting happens. So, for me, it's too much. So 3 is fine, still okay.
Okay, so it still seems like Varys is still a very strong pick for a lot of people, but hopefully this in conjunction with the buffs to all the internal faction NCUs would see lesser Varys everywhere. Next one we shall talk about is Baelish, who got chopped again. Poor Lannisters, I guess.
And Martell.
Yeah, but
Martell needs. So, in my opinion, 2 is fine because there are again like they just mentioned earlier. It's just the game is only 6 rounds.
Yeah.
And realistically, the only time you use Baelish is round 2, 3, or 4. So, when you're not taking the sword or when you're taking something else to take the horse, so you then use your sand skirmishers to shoot against someone. So, and you're mostly taking Baelish for like a once per game ability to turn something into something that you control. Controlling sword or controlling crown. So I think this is still really, really good. I think 2 is a little bit rough, but I think 3 was a bit okay to begin with. I don't think they need to change it to 2, but I get the intention because they want to nerf neutral NCUs.
KK, do you have anything to say about this?
2, like what Evandra said, 2 is a bit too. It's too much. Previously, when it was 3, I think it was just nice, because when we, as Lannisters, when we go first, I would like the difference in opinion. I would tend to use my tokens early, because I would block backs and then claim letters, so I prevent my opponent from removing tokens. So I make them suffer the consequences of weaken earlier. But now with 2 tokens, especially against a Martell player, if I'm playing against a Martell player, it makes it a bit more tricky to use Baelish. And honestly, I might consider bringing Joffrey instead of Baelish, because the crown control, the default crown control, it works. Crown on Joffrey on backs, I have all the zones I need.
Okay.
Without thinking, yeah.
Okay. Sounds like Baelish would still be, remain as a very niche option. Okay. We'll move on to our next one, which is the big elephant in the room, Water Free. He went up to 5 points, but he got a very interesting ability now, grabbing the first player. What do you guys think about this?
As a Martell player, I will like to abuse this a lot.
With your skirmishers, right? With combining with outflank.
No, rising temperature just that means that I'll get sword like one round earlier.
Yeah.
When you play Boltons with Walder Frey and Gene Poo, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
3 consecutive start of rounds. So.
Yeah. I just want to be first, right?
Yes, I just want to be first.
I'm kind of sad we lost the old Walden, because I think he had really interesting play. So, for example, like when I was playing with Starks, I could play with like 8 activation and 9 activation list, and I can basically use Arya for my movement. So once the opponent's fully moved, you move the Arya, then you shoot your range unit with Walder Frey, and then you get the activation to shoot again, and then you get your first turn, you shoot again. So that used to just wipe people out 3 shots in a row. So you can't do that anymore. And his limitation was kind of force you to play him a little bit differently. And in Martell, what I was playing around was when I took the Oasis. So when I took the Oasis, so you have six spaces, then they can't ever take the first slot, because you just take the Oasis. And whenever they have the first turn, you take the Oasis, forcing them to take units to go first instead of going on the board. So they couldn't cancel a rising temperature at all. So we've lost that now. Can't do it anymore. But I don't know. I think he's almost like an auto take now, because I think he's an auto take, because quite a big part of the strategy is knowing sometimes you get your double turn. Not knowing that anymore means you can't do it. So, for example, like if you go second, you kind of place knowing that I've got the last move and then I'm going to get the first one next turn. But now you don't get that anymore, because the opponent can just say, well, you know what, I'm going to skip one of my activation. I'm just going to keep this guy until the end. So it kind of forces your movement to play differently.
Yeah, so it seems like we don't know the impact of Water Frey at this moment, but we probably expect that for the moment, at least for a while, we're probably going to see a lot of people just trying out Water Freys in all their factions.
And they're bringing Walder Frey to counter the opponent's Walder Frey.
Yeah, that's going to be weird. A lot of timing issues. Yeah, especially when you combine this with outflank. You basically can outflank and still take first turn.
Really?
That's kind of with Darkstar. Oh, B.
Really? You can outflank and go first with Water Frey?
Yeah, it's because something to do with the priority choosing, all that kind of stuff. So I expect a lot of people will be choosing Water Frey, testing this out. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which Targaryens, which they also saw a pretty big changes in their tactics deck. So we see changes in Overrun, Sudden Retreat, Fire and Blood, and Unstoppable Advance. So I won't go through each individual card for the Targaryen tactics list, but overall, do you guys think that this is in line with the Season 4's goal of, trying to make all the cards a little bit smoother in terms of playing?
Yes.
Yep. It's a lot. It's a buff for Targaryens overall in their tactics cards.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the Fire and Blood and Unstoppable Advance. So I think these are I would say, the biggest changes. in terms of their tactics cards.
Yeah, definitely a buff for Fire and Blood, because instead of putting the rerolls in Fire and Blood, you have Unstoppable Advance for that now. And honestly, based on my experience playing against Targaryens, Unstoppable Advance used to be a card that wasn't really used because the marching and giving weaken, that was just too niche. But now when you search forth, you can give weaken tokens. That it might have its own use as well. And Fire and Blood is just good for attacking.
Okay. Moving on. Well, we'll take a look at the new assault orders for Khal Drogo. So this is a change that doesn't just affect Khal Drogo. So there are a couple of other commanders where we will see the assault orders change. So it's basically meaning that
No range attacks.
yeah, it's just more for melee. So any implications for Khal Drogo? What do you guys think about this? Will it fundamentally change anything, or is it just like it's just okay? It won't change much.
Yeah, he
For
just
Targaryen, that means that they cannot shoot with outriders or veterans,
yes.
which is huge deal because a lot of the times Targaryen needs to, sort of like soften up the enemy before they make the charge.
Yep.
Because once they do the charge, that means they're already stuck there, and Targaryen doesn't have a very good defensive profile. So when they get punched back, they lose a lot of ranks really, really, really badly. So this is definitely a nerf.
Okay, so we shall see later whether the buffs to Khal Drogo will kind of outweigh this. So moving on into Belwas and Koholo, who just received Battle Scars. The new Battle Scars. I don't think we'll go much into this because Battle Scars is just pretty good now. Question is, would you actually bring Kolo as an attachment even with the new Battle Scars?
But why Battle Scar with the horse though? It's like you can only get maximum of 2 shots, right? With the horse.
I think the answer is no. Nobody can tell for sure because it's still an ability that because I think out there. Yeah. So I think profile to begin with, and for each destroyed rank in this unit, right? So maximum you can only get 1. Oh well, 2 because you 1+1. Whereas in infantry you get maximum 3 because So having battle scars in a unit of cavalry might not be as powerful as a battle scar in a unit of infantry.
Oh, well, sounds like this attachment won't still see much play. Moving on, we shall take a look at Drogo's Blood Riders. So in line with the assault orders nerf, they kind of, in my opinion, they boosted the Blood Riders. You get Sundering and Vicious, but you get -1 defense. What do you all think about this?
So Blood Rider's chief complaint is that they cannot kill anything for shit. Because they only have 7 attacks and no Sundering, no Vicious, no nothing. It's just you get one auto wound because of Drogo and that's it. So now this makes it like an actual like proper combat unit. So yeah, this is a very welcome change, and I think my local Targaryen player is very happy with this change.
Yeah,
nice.
So
okay. All right, so I think everyone can agree that this is a very good change. So we'll move on to our next unit, which is the Hrakas, the Dothraki Hrakas. So I think this is actually quite a big change from a 5-point unit became a 4-point unit. So not many factions actually have access to a pretty mobile 4-point unit that can decently deal damage. Yeah, you got to respect outflanking 5 dice Vicious.
yeah, true.
Yeah, I think this will see play.
Yeah, 100%.
1 or 2 maybe, because it is, again, like you said, it's 4 points. And if you just want to use it for like activation buff, like just to pad out your activation, and you're bringing your Blood Riders and like some other units, maybe a dragon. So it could make it like a very interesting list.
This is mess up your opponent backline. Also, that even though they have like cavalry, right? They cannot put cavalry in your face anymore because they have to worry that if this lion suddenly go into their back and their infantry gonna get fucked up so hard.
Yeah, so it seems like yes, they receive enough to all the defense and things like that, but at 4 points, you're just going to throw in their face and forget about it. Yeah, and they still have to respect it. So yeah, I'm glad to see Harkas.
I love it.
Yeah, but definitely see more play. All right, moving on to our next unit, which are the veterans. They just receive a straight up buff to their defense. So I don't think they particularly needed it, but okay, sure.
For an 8 points unit, I think people are expecting more from this unit, to be
Still.
honest.
Okay.
Because like 4+ armor save is still like okay-ish, and they're still shooting on like 4+ to begin with. So I think it's still like a very rough unit for 8 points.
Oh well. So yeah, I guess it's just to encourage. Like let's say you previously don't bring veterans, would this actually encourage you to bring veterans now, or you think still not enough?
So in the opinion of my local Targaryen players, is that I think for 8 points you might as well just bring the Blood Riders in the Drogo list, and then you bring essentially like now you can bring Hakars to bring your 4 points, and then you bring because Screamers is now really really good for their point cost.
Yes.
At 6 points they do a lot of damage, and veterans used to fill a slot where essentially you can move in and shoot from the back, but now at 4+ to hit they're not really that good. So now, sort of like you might as well just bring Dragon if that's the case.
Okay. So consensus on veterans seems like buff, but still not enough. Next, we shall move on to the Freedmen. So Freedmen, yeah, they just run a bit faster, but I don't think this will fundamentally change how you use the Freedmen anyway.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so nice buff, but
I mean, it's a nice buff, especially if you have sorry, what's his name again? That guy from Marcellin, thank you. Yeah, because you get them for free from Marcellin anyway, and extra movement is good.
But then again, they can't run that far from a friendly unit without untrained masses as well. So they're still kind of
anti-synergy because short range and
okay, but we won't spend much time on this. We'll move on to our next unit, which is the all the Stormcrows. So Stormcrows, we won't go through each one of them right now because we already did. But what do you think this opens up in terms of list building for Targaryens for the new Stormcrows?
I don't think they'll change anything because right now the in faction stuff for Targaryen is still better. Like for Stormcrow Archer, you have Outriders. For Dervishes, you just bring Unsullied. And for Mercenaries, now you just bring Rakars if you want just cheap activations. So
okay. Anybody?
Okay, just another point. But the thing is, if you're playing Jokin Commander, that would change everything. Yeah, Jokin Commander would be the difference maker for Stormcrows and Targaryens.
Yes, true.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Good point.
Okay, moving on, we shall take a look at the NCUs for the Targaryens, which as the changelog says, they basically change all the weird, the very hard to pronounce stuff. So first up on the list of NCUs, it's Hitsda. So the main thing is that you can trigger on any friendly NCU claim now, so it's much easier to use him. Do you think that this means that you will actually bring him more?
Yes.
Okay.
Short answer, I think it's also yes.
That's good. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see more of Hitsda. But we shall go on to the next one, which will probably get a lot of reactions, which is the nerf to Illyrio. So what do y'all think of the huge nerf to Illyrio since you can only use him twice now?
2 is a bit too little. Even though I don't main task, but I think 2 is a bit too little compared to what he used to do. Yeah, but the difference I would say is like Illyrio can heal dragons.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he always can heal dragons, right?
Yeah, but now the thing is, for the changes done to Craster, he couldn't heal his monsters, but Illyrio can still heal the dragons. So maybe that's what the design has been taken into consideration. That's why it's 2 tokens. I don't know, but all in all, 2 feels a bit too little.
Yeah.
Question: would you still bring Illyrio on your list then? Because he used to be almost auto take in all Targaryens.
I like the God White more.
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. Speaking of the Godwife, let's take a look at the new Miri, which I personally think has become almost an auto take. So the new Miri, She basically gives out 2 tokens just for free. What?
But it's still zone replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a zone replacement. Yes, 2 tokens for zone replacement, depending on the zone. But I don't think that's.
It depends. It's like if it on the first turn and you are the second player, most of the time the second.
I mean, the heal 1 is okay. Like you heal 1 on top of the zone replacement effect, which is not too bad. So now Targaryen has some serious token gains.
Yeah, along with the pit fighters.
Along with the pet fighters.
And Hizdahr as well.
So do you think
Hizdahr as well
will really see a lot of play now?
I would say Miri, Hizdahr, maybe the 2 auto includes.
Maybe, yeah. I think so. She's really good now.
Yeah. Oh well, I think they might have overtuned her a bit, but we shall see. Okay. Moving on to
If it's, just add on a little bit more. Hizdahr standing on letters, 2 tokens. Miri standing on another zone, 2 tokens. Targaryen can give more tokens than Lannisters.
And then Pycelle got nerfed, fuckers.
They don't have
Pycelle got nerfed.
yeah, but
Okay, I'm done with the Lannister complaints. Next.
Okay, we'll move on to the next NCU, which is Zaro. So they drastically simplified him. So now it's twice per game you can do either a +1 rank to your own unit or -1 rank to an opposing attacking unit. What do you think?
it's a done tactic on your NCU.
That just makes it boring, doesn't it? I mean, it's probably good, but it's just boring, isn't it?
No, it's very good. It's not boring also. It's very good.
Okay, Zhan, would you like to expand a bit more on that? Why do you think it's very good now?
You know the card like Bribery or Done Tactic from the Martell, right? It put into the last rank, but most of the time unit got 7 and then 5. So it's the same thing. But you only put 4 points into your NCU and you can do it more than 2 times.
Okay. So in your opinion, you'll probably try to squeeze Zaro into most of your Targaryen list now.
No, it's always auto include for me.
For me.
Yeah. It's like super strong.
I see. Okay, even though it's like twice a game only.
No, you can.
No, yeah, because you can putting order tokens on him also.
Yeah, free. And when you heal, you got order token.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like 3 times at least.
Okay. Seems like for Targaryens they receive a big hit to Illyrio, but seems like all of you all think that the other NCUs have received pretty substantial buffs to actually make them compelling options. Okay. Right. We shall move on to the Baratheons now. So taking a look at the Baratheons tactics cards first. So Baratheon Justice, Sustain Assault, and Oath of Duty. And I think they just basically give them straight up buffs.
Yep, it's good.
Yeah, I think there's nothing much to say. Probably, I think, it's all just like, Baratheon has always been their tactics are kind of boring, but they are now boring but good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So, especially
No,
Oath of
it's good and annoying and boring. Yeah.
Yeah, I think nothing much to say about them. Baratheons being Baratheons again.
Yeah.
So, okay. We shall move on to assault orders for Andrew Estamon. Same thing, like Khal Drogo, it's only a melee thing now.
Oh.
Yeah. So do you think this was...
Unfortunately, Andrew Estamon was also not very used as a commander, even in like the previous few seasons. So now this just probably makes it a bit more strong reason not to bring him.
All right. Okay. So moving on from Andrew Estamon, we will take a look at a commander that's actually, I would think, more well used, Courtney Penrose. So Might of the Throne for both the attachment and the NCU version, attachment and the commander version, changed to melee also. So I guess that kind of helps with stopping all the range attack spam.
I mean, Baratheon doesn't really have a lot of powerful range option. Like even the Thorn Guard is short range.
Isn't the light breakers pretty?
No, but Courtney is in Rennie.
Yeah.
So their native option is Golden Company crossbow.
Yep.
Which is okay, pretty good, I suppose.
Yeah.
But so now but at least Courtney has a pretty decent like frontline option because he can be put inside a unit of Stag Knights. So now it's pretty decent, I suppose.
Yeah. So
As in, it's not decent in a sense that it's really good, but at least it's as game. Baratheon has better
still
frontline
works.
units than Lannister. Yeah, it's workable.
Yeah.
okay. So nerfed a bit, but still workable. Verdict for Courtney. Okay. Next is Brienne. Nothing much to say. Better scars for 1 point. New better scars for 1 point.
Mhm.
You actually plug this into any of your Baratheon units?
No,
No.
because they have so many options. They really have so many options for attachment anyway. Like this is probably the last thing that you think of when you put it in an attachment.
Oh well. Okay. So I guess even with the new better scars, Brienne won't see much play. Oh, we shall see. Okay. Moving on to our next units. It's actually the new Dragonstone Noble. So this one I would actually say is quite a substantial change.
Yep, because it used to have Sentinel. Now it doesn't have Sentinel. So now it removes the movement option plus the counter charge option. So I'm not sure what they're thinking when they're changing this into this. Yeah, fine. Making them have stacks with as an order is okay, but it used to have the play that the Dragonstone Noble can essentially act as like a mini Sentinel. So now it's gone.
Yeah, it seems like they want Dragonstone to be more of a support unit. I'm not sure. I really am not sure. Yeah, I mean, she's still at two up armor, but the new Noble's bolster, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
What do you think? You still think Dragonstone Noble will still see play?
No.
Oh, totally gone.
Well, I think even back in like the previous season, like Dragonstone Noble was already not also very used.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have very good like 7 points and 6 points, like Lightbringer, Stag Knight, Champion of the Stag. So
And also the fact that Drakon is 7 point is like this is like snack.
Oh well.
yep.
Okay. Moving on to the next Baratheon units. It's Kingsman. So, what do you all think of the new Kingsman? Yes, they still got
I think this is really solid.
Yes.
the new King.
I think this is really solid because essentially if you control Crown, they become 7 dice with Sundering, crit blow, and reroll. That's really, really powerful. And I think a lot of people are excited about this. Plus they have the last ability, so that makes them essentially not having to die. They can't die for like twice.
Okay,
It's really good.
so yeah, because I guess Kingsmen previously were kind of not taken, but yeah, so
No.
now it's a
Now-
strong contender for strong options. Okay,
Mhm.
speaking of Kingsmen, we will go on to the Rainbow Guard.
Yeah, so why is Rainbow Guard much better than
King, would you like to talk about this?
No, I'm done. this 7 plus 20 that bitch. I'm done. But okay. The difference I would say is this: Kingsguard is, I'd say, better at standing and fighting because of Counter Strike.
Yep.
And Lannister has always been good at throwing out weakened tokens.
Yep.
But Rainbow Guard is a good,
Support.
rather than a stand and fight unit. Yeah, because of Renly Commander, I think he has Swift Strike, so he can run, he can attack and retreat. And Rally Cry is always good because you provide a lot of sustainability for all of your units. And Baratheon units are generally quite tanky. They can hold their ground compared to Lannister units. So yeah, this
Okay.
7 plus Wendy that bitch. Okay.
Yeah, seems like they have sufficiently improved the Rainbow Guard that it's actually playable now. Yeah, especially with the drop in point cost.
Now make it 8 points again. Yes.
All right, moving on, we shall take a look at the Ruler Faithful. So this one it's just playing around the 5th token. So what do you guys think about this?
It has a lot of text, but essentially it's all really good.
Okay.
Good thing.
So I think like because of this and Melisandre, like essentially you can start like giving them fate token from the get-go. You burn stuff from them and then you throw Melisandre to another person. So then when the combat happens, you have 2 dice. So then you can use it to reroll and then +1 which I think is good.
But do people still bring that Melisandre bomb thing? I thought that kind of died.
Ish, but who knows? I think like because a lot of faction now has access to very good morale. Like right now, what we're seeing is just morale 5 across the board. So I think that's why like Melisandre is not being used anymore. But I'm just saying that if you want extra access to morale of these guys, I think that's one way to do it. Because I think right now, Red Priestess is also a thing, but I don't think you want to bring Red Priestess.
Okay. All right. So,
but it's really good though. I mean, this is a welcome change. It went from like a useless unit to somewhat experimental.
All right. It's good to hear. Okay. So last thing, we'll take a look at the Queensmen. So they really stated a design intention to actually bring more focus to the Kingsmen, the Queensmen, and the Faithful. So what do you all think about this?
I think this is better than the Kingsmen, I would say. Because Hold the Line essentially gives them free hits when they activate. And then they become a sort of more tanky unit with the Queen's Blade ability, so they cannot expend Vulnerable in Panic. So it's a more solid unit in terms of like holding the ground, which is what Baratheon player likes to do. And Hold the Line is just a free attack. This is a free hit, really.
Okay. So yeah, we can see them. They're both kind of like different roles. So the Kingsman is really all offense because they get Sundering, rerolls, all that nonsense. This one is just they will really stay down there and it's very hard to kill.
Yeah.
So now the only question that the Baratheon player needs to ask is that whether they want to bring Alistair Florin or not. Because that's the most reliable way of getting crown.
Yeah, the other one, it's as a Lannister player, I would bring Joffrey when I know I'm going to a 5-point NCU will counter both Kingsmen and Queensmen. So
Yeah,
True.
that is my plan already.
yeah. One Joffrey and then rule your day.
Yep, gotta annoy the Baratheons here.
Okay, moving on, we shall take a look at the new Baratheon NCUs, or change. So Axel Florin as an NCU, change. What do you all think about this?
Solid. Free Panic, really good. Free Panic is good. Free Vulnerable when attacking, also good. I think this is really good.
Okay, so Axel Florin NCU, looks like we'll see more play of him. And the next, quite a big one, I think, is actually
solid. 5 points, very solid.
Yeah, so it used to cost 6 points, now 5 points.
It's not Balon, but hey. It's not fucking Balon, but hey, we'll take it.
Okay, so you expect
Balon
to see...
is just unfair, yes.
So you expect to see more Stannis Baratheon players really bringing Sillies these days?
I mean, Stannis 1 is already like the most played Baratheon commander.
Mm-hmm.
Now with Celise and Shireen at 5 points reviving, I think it's really, really good. Just to get your... So Stannis unit, like for example, if you just let them survive for one more turn, they can use their stupid tactical approach ability to deal extra 3 wounds when they activate. Suddenly, you have one more turn of them like causing damage.
Okay, I think we don't have much to say about Celise and Shireen. I think they are just pretty good options.
Yeah,
what do you think of overall for Baratheons? Do you think it's the time for Baratheons to really rise now, especially with a lot of these range attacks getting kind of nerfed?
So I think it's a step in the right direction because back then, like Baratheon doesn't really have a good, strong frontline units. They changed it with Stag Knights. Stag Knights is now used in almost every Baratheon list because resilience is just a really good ability. But they still need like 1 or 2 units to sort of complement that. So now we have Kings and Queensmen, which is only used in half of the faction because of the affiliation thing. But Rainbow Guard is now like a very solid option for Renly's side. So I think I would say Renly 3 will now be used a lot, as well as Stannis 1 with either King or Queensmen or even both.
All right. Okay, so moving on. It's a big thing. It's Greyjoys. So Iron Price, which previously was practically unused. Finger Dance, which actually saw a lot of use, and Waiting Call. So what do you all think of these new changes to the Greyjoy tactics cards?
Wow.
I like the Finger Dance change.
Yeah,
I like
agreed.
one of
Finger
them.
Dance used to be free vulnerable tokens, but now
Now they have to pay for it.
yes, you gotta pay the price. Yes.
Yeah. I also think before Fingernail is like super strong.
Yeah. I think it's really good. The Iron Price, okay. Now it's pretty used.
Yeah.
Okay, Yeah, because previously last time it was like basically people just drew and then just threw it away. But I think the new iron is actually usable.
I think
It gives them
like
options,
good.
which is what a lot of players need.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the next one, which is the overrun changes on Victorian Greyjoy and Battle Scars on Dagmar. Nothing much to say here. I think those are
Yep.
just very good options for each of them. So we'll move on to the next, the units, which is we shall see whether all the buffs and changes to the units takes the spotlight away from the Silence Men. So first up on the list, we have the Black Tide Chosen. Lost a point, but they receive quite some nerfs everywhere. So their to hit now is 4+. They don't get martial training. What do you think of this?
I think it's interesting. Not having martial training definitely is a huge nerf to their offensive capabilities, especially that they have 4+ to hit. Yeah. So I'm not sure yet if it's still a played unit. Again, because Silence Men is still like the most useful option for Greyjoy. But now at 6 points, this might be actually.
Yeah, I think
play.
BTC now feels more like a support because like they generate pillage tokens and they distribute it out, and then they provide Iron Resolve in short range.
Yeah,
which is even better than Bolton, to be honest.
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So we shall see. Hopefully, we shall see more BTC as support units. Moving on, we shall talk about the John men who kind of lost the wound because they were really too annoying to deal with, I guess.
Well, boo hoo hoo.
Well deserved, I think.
Yes, well deserved.
Okay.
That's it. Well deserved.
It's well deserved.
No one's gonna miss that.
No one's gonna miss that. What are you talking
Except
about?
for the Greyjoy players, no one is gonna miss that.
Okay. Do you think for those Greyjoy
so
players,
annoying to deal with.
do you think they will bring Greyjoy? They'll still bring John men?
I don't know.
As a
I don't
support
care.
unit
I
that
don't
hides
want
in
to
the
see
back,
it anymore.
They're not gonna be
No
as
longer.
they're not gonna be as
No longer-
reckless with it.
Yeah, no longer they can just be used to hold the flank. Like I have my mag can't kill a drowned man because I only have 7 dice. It's stupid.
Yeah. So right now, John men can't be as reckless. They gotta pick their spots now.
Yeah,
But well deserved now.
they just like stay in somewhere in the side and control something, and then you cannot do shit with them because when you try to kill them, they just heal back, and you cannot kill them in one activation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I think they weren't what is making Greyjoys OP now, but they were a very important part of it. So hopefully, with these 3 wounds, it helps.
Yeah, it's
Okay. Next, we shall take a look at the Reapers, House Harlaw Reapers. Do you think this is a?
I forget what's the change. Is it
I
speed?
think it's become 6 point, right?
Oh, there used to be 6, isn't it?
Is it
Yeah.
6?
Yeah, I think it's the Reaper's fervor got changed.
Yes.
I think. Yeah, feels like.
Oh, it just auto triggers. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because back then it was sort of like you, depending on how much village token you have, something happens and you choose an effect. Now it's just straight up when you have 2, all this thing happens. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know whether I want to give this idea to Greyjoy players, but Ramsey,
Yeah. Ramsey.
without you don't really need Tion, but Ramsey, you get Fear by Slaughter and Prey on Fear. It's like Mountains Man with Ramsey as well.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
Oh, Mountain Man with Ramsey.
Yeah, I guess they're just trying to make more options viable in Greyjoys, other than Silence Men. So hopefully this is
All the Greyjoy players, you're welcome for the free ideas.
hopefully
Come from Lannister themselves, right?
Yeah, true. Okay. Yeah.
next, we shall talk about the Ironborn Trappers. So I understand Ironborn Trappers were hardly ever taken previously.
There used to be a point where they were taken and then not so anymore.
Something else better.
But yeah, now it's good. They can
Now
get
it's
either
good.
vulnerable or weakened. Yep. And then if they have both, it's both. So now they
think
become
now
a
it's good.
support unit. Yeah. Because back then, you can sort of make them into stupid frontline unit because of how tanky they were back then, quote unquote.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully this will see more play. and it also becomes short range, I think, the Trapper's tools.
Yep, it's good. It's good.
Okay. All right, moving on, we shall talk about the silent guy in the room, Silence Man. So Silence Man and Balon, and well, they have been seeing a lot of play recently. So their morale got a bit weaker, but their attacks got better. From 754 it's now 765. And they nerfed the short range thing, and they don't have the no more minus 1 wound population token for fail panic. So is this a side grade, downgrade, or buff?
I think it's a downgrade too much.
Like I don't have a lot of problems with Silence Man. Like I said, like I think the biggest thing about Greyjoy is that they can essentially revive their strongest unit. And because Silence Men now can sort of like fight within like their main capacity, even at like one low rank, like 754 to 765. So even when they're like last rank, they're still hitting on 5 with possibly Super Sundering. 5 Super Sundering, and -1 to morale test. I think they can still do a lot of damage. Yeah. Like 765 doesn't degrade a lot. Like it's like it doesn't matter if you chip them down to like 1 rank or 2 ranks, they're still hitting like essentially their full capacity, quote unquote.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll continue seeing the dominance of Greyjoys for a while. Okay, moving on to the NCUs. So we shall take a look at Aaron Greyjoy. So they basically made him a little bit better. Heal on every rank destroyed. Yeah. So I think this is a straightforward buff. The question is, will this, take away, will give you more options when building a Greyjoy NCU list? Because right now it's always like Balon and a few other common suspects.
Yeah, I think because right now, like essentially with Balon being on the mix, you only have slot for 2, and usually that slot is either reserved for Roderick or Wendy. So I think anyone else who wants to compete with that has to be somewhat better than Wendy or Roderick.
Yeah.
Or even Eric Ironmaker.
Well, take a look at Asha Greyjoy, NCU, who gets a new remove condition token, but also gets free hits on enemies who attack. I personally think that this is a pretty good NCU pick.
Yeah.
Remove 1 condition, +1 morale for each pillage, plus morale tests.
Yeah, so
this is not bad.
Yeah, so I think we might see more Asha Greyjoys as really content with Wendy and all that. Probably won't overtake Balon, but still. Yeah.
No, Balon is
like,
auto pick.
Yeah, auto.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Nerf Balon, yes. Nerf Balon, yes. Nerf it.
yeah.
Whoever is listening to this, nerf it. 6 points at least. Or at least require him to claim the zone. That's all.
Fair?
True.
Yeah, because as long as Balon is untouched, there will always be 2 tiers in Greyjoys. It's like there's Balon and then there's everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, we'll move on to the next one, which is Baron Black Tide. So I think they gain a morale reroll, just nothing much. Just making your guys a bit more tanky.
And no longer is the it gets peeled off when you fail the test, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's
again a straight buff to Balon. Baron minus the L. But I don't think it's well, we'll see. I think there's a lot of rooms for testing out.
Yeah.
Even for a Greyjoy list.
But most of the time when you're gonna die is when it's like opponent go first. And you don't have time to influence.
Yeah, so this may not change that. So, well, we shall see whether people's experiments with Baron can make it very annoying when they harden stuff and they just make your thing very hard to die. Okay, moving on to the last NCU, we'll take a look at Christopher Bodley. So I think they had quite a bit of changes for this. So previously it was like, I think 1 enemy combat unit that became panic and vulnerable. Now it's 2. And there's a free activation of the other option is the free activation if opponent doesn't take the targeted zone or so. Doesn't this remind you of the Bolton guy?
Yeah.
Slightly different. The Christopher's once per game, it's Tyball claims the zone, but I can't activate Tyball anymore. Yeah, but this one is you can activate and you can claim like whichever zone you want.
Do you think Greyjoy players will use Christopher? Because I don't ever see Christopher being used previously.
The first one is actually good, I would say, giving 4 tokens when let's say if the enemy is restricted and they have to claim the zones, giving out 4 tokens in return for 1 zone, I think is good.
Okay. Yeah, I think probably the verdict will still be out there on Christopher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Maybe we'll see Greyjoys continue to dominate, especially with the nerfing of GCS for everyone else and nerfing of Archer abuse. So hopefully we shall see more fight for the NCU spaces also, fighting Wendy and Roderick. All right, moving on to my favorite faction, which is the Martells. And the number one, that is Sand Diplomacy, where it used to be such a complete mess that they just removed the ability to blank, and they just gave it a 2 times 2 tokens, so you can potentially spit out 4 tokens. So yeah, I think Sand Diplomacy.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
I will still not use it.
Yeah.
Because the potential for backfiring is too powerful.
Well,
Yes.
in the world of the new Warder, this might have a bit more value. Yeah.
Maybe. But it's one of those cards that I will just throw away as soon as possible.
Even with
Yeah, because you see, Sand Diplo, if let's say if you have to claim the zone, then you are giving yourself 4 tokens.
Yeah.
The drawback is too much.
Because back then it's just a weaken and lose ability.
Yeah,
It's just like whatever, right? Like potentially it's just whatever. Now it's just like, well, okay, that plus Baelish nerf. So Sand Diplomacy suddenly becomes a real threat if you
I
have
don't
to take
think
the
that
zone
Sand Diplo
yourself.
is now like a super overpowered card. It's just like playable, more playable now. That's what I would maintain. Okay. We shall go on to our next card, which is actually the changes to Oberyn's unexpected.
Both
Good
fantastic.
changes for Oberyn.
Both fantastic.
And
Both fantastic.
honestly, I think this will make Oberyn one of the top picks for Martells, because
implying he wasn't
Yeah.
already.
It was already.
Yeah. Already.
That's one of the-
He
it
was
one
number
of the better
2.
ones.
Number 1 is Damon Sand. Number 1 is Damon Sand. Number 2 is probably
So previously it was
Oberyn.
like when Harmon Allah was dominating, I think Oberyn was a good second. So now I think he maintains that spot. So and could even be first. He's just very solid. Especially
Very solid.
with the new unexpected exhaustion, where it's in line with the other changes where they're trying to make it like, oh, you don't need a vulnerable enemy or weakened enemy. I think the previous one was a Tywin NCU or something like that.
Yeah, so back then you have to be vulnerable before
now
you
you
get
do.
the card. Now you just becomes vulnerable.
Okay, and quality of life change for Viper's Infamy, where it's simply any enemy combat unit that activates, because previously it was something that has to charge over it.
Yes, correct.
All good
I
stuff.
think this is good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on very quickly, we'll just touch on the Dark Star retinue. So they get a new overrun change, which just nice, very synergizes very well with their the attachment, the High Hermitage Sentinel. Before you march, you can actually do a pivot. So sure, I think
Imagine if you use this with outflank and overrun.
Oh yes, yeah, I think it's a
that's a wombo combo that people have been talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw
9 points you need with whatever High Hermitage Sentinel. It can even be with I don't know, something that gives it sundering, and then you have it in outflank and overrun. You can march. It's really good.
Yeah. So I think Dark Star retinue previously in the Martell community was like okay, but I think now with all this, actually pretty decent. Okay. Now we'll quickly go on to the NCUs. First thing, it's the Doran Commander. Previously he cost a flat 5 tax.
Nice.
Now he just minus 1 point. So I think this is just nice. Yeah, it just opens up your list building options. So welcome change. And we see the much expected nerf of Alaria Sen.
Yeah,
So
I
even
mean it's still auto include, but
Yeah.
previously it was just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Previously,
Previously was done. It was intrigue target number 1.
Yeah. So Alaria Sen, I think, yeah, she's still borderline auto take for me. Yeah.
It's still
So
auto.
Yeah. Should be.
So the only sad thing is that yes, they nerf like Ilaria, but I really wish they kind of, because the S4 was supposed to tune down the top ones and bring the bottom ones up. Nymeria NCU still gone. Nymeria attachment still nothing. Oberyn NCU, I kind of wish they kind of reverted some of the changes to him. Yeah, so I don't think this Ilaria nerf was enough to make the other options more viable.
I
Yeah.
think Nimera would be fun, but it really depends on your opponent because the zones that you need for Nimera to kick in for vicious and critical blow, it's possible. It's possible to make Nimera work. That's one of my thoughts are. Yeah.
Okay, we shall wrap up now with
Bolton. Wow. You know what Stormcold Mercenary can do with the Bastard Boy?
Yeah. I think Boltons in general for the buff they got to include neutral units. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and with new modules instead of 3 right now we have 5 with Dario. Oh no, 7. We have
Virgo.
6. Jokin, Vargo, and Dario. Makes it a bit
Yeah.
more viable. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
So Jokin Bolton is a thing?
Possible.
Hmm.
Possible. But we will need to consider, instead of using Dreadful Archers, we will need to use Stormcrow Archers.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Or both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, yeah.
Maybe not both, because two range unit is not
Oh,
very
yeah,
good.
true.
Actually, with Boltons, I've tried 2 range units. It's actually quite scary. I mean, one
Okay.
Archers, 1 Bastard Ghost, but still.
Yeah. Also, like,
Yeah.
Buster Girl's
Now
not
it's
exactly a range unit. What are you talking
you can
about?
put Stormcold Mercenary with the Bastard Boy that got Lee Siren, right? So you got 5
Yeah,
points.
exactly.
5 points that is like fucking war for 5 points.
Yeah.
So you can have 2 range. I don't think it's that big of a problem.
Yeah, and then your Dreadful Archers shoot into the Stormcrow Mercenaries, and then that becomes a viable, like, reasonable damage dealers, your range units.
okay.
So, potential options.
Well, we'll talk about Tybor next, which is a huge nerf, but I guess this was the stated intention of Tybor.
I wouldn't say it's huge. I think it's Tybor used to offer something like, for example, let's say Tybor activates first, that takes swords, shoots, enemy, then you declare a zone like Crowns where most factions don't want it, and then your opponent doesn't claim it, the Tybor goes to Crowns, the next NCU go into swords, shoot again.
Yeah.
So it's really not what Tybor is meant to do, but right now I think they've fixed the wording. It is what it is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you think with all these things combined, Boltons will actually rise up from the bottom and actually be decent? Okay, yeah.
I think possible.
Possible. The possibilities is there, the choices of units is there, but we'll see.
Azmi, do you have anything to say about Boltons? Have you tried them?
Played quite a few games against them. I thought they were okay before that, but they are very limited to what they can play. So I think with the allowance of having a neutral, there's a huge opportunity to play and a lot of buffs. So I think they definitely won't be the bottom one anymore.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess the only way is up for Boltons, I guess. Hopefully we'll see players really come up with interesting combinations with all the new neutral options, border abuse. All right. Okay, we have come to the end of the review. So we really hope that you get the sense that yes, all these changes, they are meant to actually give more options for people. And I really do think that as a whole, the season 4 changes has achieved it. So maybe some didn't really got it right. Like look at the face of the Lannister main here. But I think overall it's pretty okay. Yeah. So okay, so to round off, I would like to ask everyone, what is one favorite thing from the patch that you have? So KK, would you like to start off?
No favorite.
Oh, come on.
Next. Okay. I would say this. From the Lannister changes, I would say the best thing we got was resilience.
Best thing.
And that is saying a lot because we did got mostly nerfs. That's the best thing we got. But I would say in general, I think this patch has created a lot more variety in terms of selection of units and play styles, which I think as a player I really enjoy variety.
Okay,
yeah,
that's good to hear. Veera, what's one favorite thing from the patch? Your favorite thing, yeah.
Stark change. Love them. Like before this is like Stark got the most unit, but you cannot use any of them because they are so weak. Now it's like you got a lot of options that you can use. So it's like a lot of door open. Like Mans got buff, become like very nice. Want to try her. Also like everything else. Also like I love this path the most from my standpoints.
Okay, good to hear. All right, Azmi, what's one favorite thing from the patch for you?
I think mage change.
Mage change. Okay.
The Amber Berserker change. I like to use her with mage. So for Here We Stand and Amber Berserker, see make some really tanky unit there.
All right. Okay. Warden of the East, Van.
Spearwife. Spearwife Torment.
Okay.
That's gonna be the new thing for free for a while.
This is gonna be annoying, yes.
It's gonna be very annoying.
Yeah, very annoying for sure.
All right. Thanks everyone for your time. That was a solid 2.5 hours. Hopefully we shall see you again in half a year's time when Simon does their mid-season review and take a look at their commanders and other attachments. So yep. See you around and play more songs.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.